You're listening to Teets and Ash, the show where two real-life providers get real about health habits, wellness, and the broken healthcare system. We're here to educate, empower, and entertain you, one appointment-free episode at a time. This is healthcare without the bullshit.
We're not gonna dwell.
Oh, okay.
We're not gonna dwell. Okay.
Yeah. This
Maybe
is
a little
this is a
dwell?
biggie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome to Teets and Ash. Yeah, that thing again. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. So, today we're talking about
Grief.
Grief.
And more grief.
yeah. So, and the reason why we're talking about this is because, okay, I just lost my mother 4 weeks ago.
And I lost mine 15 years ago. So I was basically a child in my mind.
Yeah.
Not really.
Well, you
But
were
no, I was in my 30s.
still.
God, I'm
That's
interesting.
When did that happen?
Probably
Yeah.
after I lost my mom, I just aged
I think you
incredibly
do.
quickly.
Things change so rapidly, so quickly. Like the day of is like all changed. Matriarch, here I am.
Orphan. That's how I felt.
Ugh.
I felt like an orphan.
Oh, so we're going to talk about this, and it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be polished, but it's definitely going to be honest.
100%.
But I get the shakes already.
Yes.
So apparently that happens when you go through significant grief. You get this internal shakiness. It's kind of like an adrenaline rush, but it's not. You don't see it externally. Like you feel it down in your core. And I'm not the only person. I mean, other people say, yes, you feel it. It's the weirdest thing. And every time you talk about it, or you get it, or yeah, I'm feeling it now.
I feel like I think I've made a mistake. It's that sensation.
Oh.
Like I feel like I've made a mistake
It's
and I have
empty.
an internal panic, like a quick
Yeah.
panic. That's the feeling, but it's prolonged in the early stages.
Yeah, it's
That's that feeling for me. Like I'm like, my cortisol just immediately is jacked or something. I'm not sure. I'm just throwing that out there as,
yeah.
how it feels, but sweaty, just icky. And it waxes
It's
and
like you've
wanes.
done something wrong
Mhm.
and you have no recourse.
Irrevocable.
Oh, it's
Irrevocable.
doing it again. It's the
Mhm.
weirdest feeling. I cannot. And we're gonna really try not to cry.
Yeah.
Really try. Because I'm doing better.
Yeah, well,
You move through it. You
4
don't.
weeks
I
is
mean,
fresh.
this is really fresh because I have moments where
Oh, yeah.
something is just oh, that's my mom.
Smells.
Oh God, songs.
Mhm.
Music was huge.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, she was like up to date on the times with all the music and everything in the 80s and 90s. So, anytime I'm listening to my favorite stuff, like,
Right.
oh, crap, there's mom. Or even the 70s stuff, like Wildfire. That song
Mhm.
Wildfire about the damn horse. My mama didn't have a horse, but that song makes me think of her. And I don't know why. Y'all go look up Wildfire. Michael Murphy, I think. Michael McMurphy, something. I don't know. Wildfire. That one's a good one.
I don't know. My mom was she cooked. She was like,
Oh,
that
my
was
mom
her,
cooked too.
that was her artistic.
I haven't done that yet.
She
Like I haven't
cooked.
cooked her dressing or her
Yeah.
lemon icebox pie.
That right there is like, for me, like even now. So when I got married, my mom made me a recipe box, like old school, recipe box.
Mhm.
And that is like my biggest treasure.
Oh, yeah. Like mine had journals all over in her room
Mhm.
with a lot of Bible verses and how to apply them to your life.
Mhm.
And she wrote letters to God. She wrote letters to us, all of these things. So I
Yeah.
have that and I absolutely treasure that. But then, yeah, the food part, I
Yeah.
haven't made anything but she would sneak in my house and I have a recipe book that have like the cards in them.
Mhm.
And so she would write down her recipes in her handwriting. And I found one the other day. I was like, I can't believe you did this to me. I'm never going to be able to make this.
Well,
I'm gonna.
So mine collected them. So I have recipes. So, she was a CRNA.
Yeah, let's talk about your mom.
So my mom was a nurse anesthetist
Before they were cool.
before they were cool. And for like 48 years or something.
She was in it.
Yeah. So she developed a cough that she thought was an allergic reaction to the hospital. So it was after Hurricane Ivan, so 2005-ish. It actually started before that, but she just thought it was like pollen.
Because we're nurses and that's what we do.
And so she developed this cough, and then it was after Hurricane Ivan, and then all the construction, all the hospitals were damaged, all the things, right?
All the mold
and
that we
so
found.
the mold. And so she assumed that's like she had a pneumonitis type thing.
Yeah.
nobody really was able to diagnose what was going on. It was a whole event. And then she was still working as a CRNA up until then. So she turned 70 in August of 2011. Like, still work. Well, in May, she actually put in her leave to quit and retire in 2011 because she had a bout of pneumonia, which really like just took it out of her. She was hospitalized, and she was like, you know what? I think maybe it's time.
And
And
pneumonia is
then
bad. You were wore out for
was
weeks. That's just in a healthy person. You're still worn
weeks.
out for weeks. Just the fatigue and the weakness is
I
terrible.
can't
So at
even
70
at
with an
70,
underlying
and they thought it was
something.
bronchiectasis. They thought it was, I don't know. We had one of every test in the world done, and it was always inconclusive. Nobody could pinpoint what she had. And then I bought a house in August of 2011, and she shows up to do my walkthrough on the 31st of August with oxygen on, and I'm like, what in the world is happening here? Well, and she had received actually a final diagnosis of pulmonary fibrosis on the 26th of August, my walkthrough. So before that, she was not on oxygen. She turned 70 on August 4th. We had a big party. She was not on oxygen, blah, blah, blah. And then she just had this abrupt, like, poof, decline. And then on like the 15th or 16th of September, she had a coughing spell in the middle, and it was like 10 o'clock at night. And my sister always called her to check on her at night. I was at work, naturally. And
That's where we live.
it's where all the big things happen. And my sister called me and was like, hey, mom is having a hard time, like, regrouping from this coughing fit. What do you think I should do? I said, you call an ambulance right now and send her ass to the hospital. And Judy said, no. Actually, my sister told me later that the first thing my mom said was, as she's like, hey, mom, what you doing? And mom's like coughing, 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 like bronchospasm. And the only thing she could squeak out is, don't call Tarra.
Don't you dare call her.
And so Deidre like panicked and called me. I mean, this is my interpretation of how it went, but I assume Deidre's like, okay, I don't know what to do. Judy usually gives us all the medical advice. Let me call Tarra. And I'm like, you send her ass to the hospital
right now.
And so we did. And my mom, angry, trudged all the way to the front of the house to unlock the door so the firefighters didn't kick the door open.
She didn't want to replace that.
God. And then she went in, and like the decline was so fast. She's on like a non-rebreather. You know, that day she had gone to get her dry cleaning. She had lobster at the ale house. She had a meeting at church, and then boom, we're in the hospital. So then, we've done this once before.
Sure.
And so we're like, yeah, you know what? That'll be all right. We're gonna rally. We're already preparing for trials in Tulane, I think. And so the doc's like, hey, listen, we were wrong. You don't have 3 to 5 years. You got 7 days.
Yeah.
And
how fabulous.
My mom is like, non-rebreather, totally lucid.
She's like, excuse me?
She's like, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Mom, have you ever seen anyone die in 7 days without like being like
Obtunded?
hospice? And then you're like on off, and mom's like, no, 7 days. And it was exactly, she just, so it was it was a very similar to yours. Like we didn't know
for a
long time it was going to be like, this is what was going to happen. And then it did. And so we were not prepared for that at all.
No.
At all. Weirdly enough, even knowing what I know, I feel like
because that's the
should have been more prepared. But yeah, no.
Thanks, Judy.
Yeah, thanks, Judy. Gosh.
I don't know what would be worse. Everybody's
I think
path
about
is their
this.
own.
So that's always my question. So my dad died when I was like 27 or 26. And then my mother died when I was like 30, 31, something like that. And so
you were an orphan quick.
Yeah. And my siblings were the appropriate age. So my brother and sister are older than I am. So, my mom was 70, they were 40 and 50-ish. That seems about an appropriate time in your mind. I mean, there's no appropriate time. But
We don't like it.
When that transition naturally occurs is a little bit later than 30. And so,
Usually.
it's obviously there's none of this when you talk about this has a box to put it.
No. Oh,
But yeah,
no.
but that's how I felt immediately like an orphan. Like, what? I don't even know.
You don't even know what you don't know.
I don't even know what I don't know.
Mm-mm.
Like, I don't know how to do my taxes.
Even at 50, there's a lot of things that I didn't know
Right.
that we're going to cover really quick.
Yes.
Not right this second. But anyway, finish with your mom.
So that's my story. It was incredibly traumatic. I had some terrible experiences in the hospital, and she happened to choose a hospital that neither she or I worked at, which made it even more difficult
Judy.
to navigate things, if you know. And I remember, I'm like, seriously, Judy, like what?
What this one?
What are we doing here? Like,
Probably because she didn't want
how
you to have
did
to
we
deal with
get
that
here?
every day that you came to work.
No, I'll tell you why.
Tell me why. Do tell.
Her pulmonologist graduated from Duke as she graduated from Duke. And he had really blue eyes. I'm just going to leave that there. And I think she thought he was a very handsome man. And she liked him. And he liked, he was nice. But it was very interesting how that all played out. But yeah, that's why I think, like, why wouldn't my mom, who lived in lungs for almost 50 years, get bigger opinions than local?
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Well, I
It
did.
didn't matter. Yeah, you did.
I did. So Deborah. Deborah was the seamstress. She manufactured drapes for interior decorators in the area. Originally, my grandmother had the business, and then when my grandmother died, she took over the business, but she'd been working for a long time. And the entire reason why I got into nursing is because I hated measuring shear. It would crawl and I would cry. And so my mother said, listen, junior nurse is like, okay, I don't want to measure shear anymore. Because that shit would crawl. And if it was a 16th of an inch off, you had to redo it because my grandmother would not tolerate
a 16th of an inch.
Nope. So
sounds about right.
Yeah. So she was a seamstress, had this business for years. And so
that's an art.
It is an art. It's a dying art. Like if you asked me to make a cornice, a headboard, drapes, pinch pleat, anything, I could
sew your face
fumble
together.
my ways through it. But
As can you.
It's not going to be pretty. But so Shelby was in the 5th grade. So they had their 5th grade field trip, and she said they went to the Capitol, and she said, God, I just couldn't.
How many years ago was that, you think?
So Shelby's 20 and she was 10, so 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's walking up the Capitol steps, and she said, y'all just go on. I can barely make it up these steps. And then she had to get back up on the bus to come home from Tallahassee. And she said that was so troublesome. She didn't understand what was going on. I'm just so weak. And so she said, well, I started that no-carb diet. Maybe I'm just exhausted.
Naturally, yes.
Okay. So, but for years prior to that, we had noticed we'd be walking in the mall, me, her, and my sister. We'd walk in the mall, and she'd be like, just go ahead, I'll meet y'all there. I'm just tired. Well, my mother worked like a dog. She worked hard. Being a seamstress is very difficult work. It's very it's heavy. It's labor intensive. And she worked all the time. As a business owner, as a lot of you know who are business owners, when you're a business owner, you work your ass off. You work more than your employees, and you're the last one to get paid, first one there, last one to leave. It's just a whole thing.
24/7.
24/7. And she even did that with drapes and bedspreads and all of the things because her decorators would need things out in a certain amount of time. And so she worked herself to death. So we thought she was just tired at the time. So anyway, fast forward to Shelby's 5th grade, and she can't get up the steps really good at the Capitol. She can't get up the steps on the bus, and she's like, something's wrong. Okay, so then she started having these little falls. I'll never forget. Her driveway has azaleas on both sides. And she opened her door one day, and she got out, she was, woo, and just went completely to the side. I said, what are you doing? She goes, I just fell. I'm like, okay. So her balance was off. I'm like, what is going on with you? Well, then she started complaining, I have to hold the walls in the hallway as I walk down the hall. I'm like, why are you doing that? And she just, I don't know. And then she said, I got to use this cane to walk. And then I said, okay, we're going to go get a neuro eval because your right leg is dragging a little bit. I'm like, what is going on? So we go see a neurologist, and he says, it's neuropathy. I said, because she's dragging her leg, it's just neuropathy with no underlying etiology, no
diabetes,
nothing. My mother had nothing. She took a
injuries.
12.5 HCTZ is the only medication she ever took for a smidge of high blood pressure. I'm like, okay. So shaky. So I said, okay, this is weird. So we ended up going to some neurosurgeons, and MRIs, nerve conduction studies, all these things. Now, nerve conduction studies are subjective. It depends on who's doing them.
Mm-hmm.
So I had noticed with my mother, with her dragging that leg, I'm checking reflexes. I'm checking just spasticity in general. So I'm popping her thigh one day and her leg is popping out. I'm touching the middle of her thigh. I'm like, Jesus Christ, why are you doing that? I said, okay, let's get MRIs, get MRIs. She's got a little spinal stenosis. They want to do surgery. I was like, we're not doing surgery. She doesn't have back pain. She doesn't have trouble with bowel or bladder. She's just having trouble walking and she's off balance. Something is afoot. And they're like, I said, I want a second opinion from the other guy. So the other guy comes in prepared with the MRI in hand to back up his counterpart and say, it's spinal stenosis. I'm like, no, it's not. She's teeter-tottering and not having trouble walking. She's not the typical spinal stenosis kind of patient, the little, she's not doing that.
Or the back pain.
Nothing. No back pain whatsoever. I'm not doing surgery on your back if you have no back pain, because who knows, you may end up having back pain after back surgery. So
infection or
yeah, I don't want to do that. Why cut on her if you don't definitively know? So anyway, I said, we'll just go to Shands. I take her down to Shands. Dr. Weimer saw her, and he had all of her paperwork from every single visit we'd had, all of the imaging and everything. And he goes, hereditary spastic paraplegia. I'm like, what the fuck is that? What is that? I'm like, who knows what that is? I've never even heard of it in all of the years that I had been a nurse. I had never heard of it. And I'm like, what is that? It's a hereditary female autosomal dominant upper motor neuron disease. So basically, your brain sends signals to your legs. It mostly affects your legs, but it can be complex hereditary spastic paraplegia where it affects your arms and speech and everything else, kind of like ALS. It's like a long, drawn-out form of ALS, basically. So
or like the Stephen Hawking syndrome.
Yeah, like that, but like a mix.
Right.
It's the weirdest thing. So her legs started going. So she eventually got on a cane, got on a walker. 5 years ago, she was in a wheelchair for 3 years. And then 2 years ago, she was in the bed.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember when I think I'm the one that's like,
you got to get her in bed.
You got to get her in bed.
Because we were picking her up. So anytime she had to go to the bathroom or transfer from her recliner to her wheelchair, my husband Joey and I would pick her up. Joey would hold her. I would literally snatch a recliner that wasn't on wheels. I would snatch that out from behind her, put it over to the side, grab a bedside commode, put that in her, sit her down. Okay, Mom, let's get up. Then we'd get her back up. And she's dead weight at this point because she can't hardly stand. She could use her arms a little bit. She would push up on the walker in front of her.
Nothing in the legs.
Nothing. And so and then I pull the bedpan out. I'm wiping her up, clean her up. And then I haul the wheelchair, which directionally was just jacked up because it was a secondhand wheelchair that my dad had gotten from some storage unit. I don't know. Anyway, so I'd snatch that and put that under her. So we did that for 3 years. We're snatching chairs out from under her.
And I remember you telling me you not wanting to do the bed because you knew.
I knew.
She would not get out.
She was not going to get out.
And that was like, you were literally like, yeah, no, we can't do that yet.
I wasn't ready and she wasn't ready. She was not having it.
She was not, I remember.
She said, absolutely not. I'm not dying in that bed. I was like, well. Yeah. So 2 years ago, April of 2 years ago, we had to put her in the bed. We could no longer pick her up.
Right.
I mean, it was so difficult at that point. And Joey was going out of town for his guys' trip weekend. Again, yearly thing. Anyway. And so I said, Mom, I can't do this by myself. And my dad and my sister were completely incapable of doing it. My sister got just emotionally upset having to do it. Yeah, and then my dad's 80.
Right.
He can't do it.
Right.
So,
he might be able to hand you things.
He can hand me things. But the moving the chairs,
no.
A recliner that's not on wheels, I'm literally scooting it across the carpet in 2 bounds. I mean, we got good at it. And then flinging that bedside kimono there and flinging it back and flinging a wheelchair. I mean, we were flinging shit everywhere. Not literally, but anyway. So then she gets in the bed and she's in the bed for 2 years and then slowly declining. And then last fall, she had taken this weird turn where it started affecting her upper limbs and her voice and her breathing. And I'm like, what is happening? This is not HSP. Then I questioned, oh my God, what is this? And so we did genetic testing. I did mine, she did hers. And neither one of us have hereditary spastic paraplegia, but we have limb girdle muscular dystrophy in our genetics. And I'm like, oh shit. So there's no cure for these diseases. It's just maintenance and just supportive care. So keeping enough muscle on board, not too much, Just enough so it doesn't affect what?
I just had a patient with something similar to this. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together.
Mm,
But he was like
terrible.
80.
Yeah. So, and you can have a regular life expectancy with these disease processes. You just have to maintain your mobility.
Mhm.
So that was last fall.
Maintaining the mobility
Yeah,
is
and
so
it
hard.
was hard because she had actually ruptured her, oh God, what was it? No, not IT band,
The
psoas tendon. She had ruptured it, I don't know, 5 years ago when she got in the wheelchair. She had ruptured it 5 years
I
ago.
remember
It was
that.
terrible. She was that patient in the hallway that was screaming in pain. And I was like, holy shit, that's my mother. My mother never complained. Like she would
I remember that
have
he was going
lacerations
through
and
that.
everything, and she'd just tape it up, keep going. She'd run a industrial needle across her
Mhm.
finger on the sewing machine, just pull it out, keep going. I'm like, Jesus, but this was unbelievable. So anyway, so the Saturday morning before she passed, she woke up and said, eyes wide, bewildered, scary. It scared me. And she said, my dad called and said, your mom, something's wrong. I'm like, oh shit. And I live like 5 minutes away. So I go over there and she's sitting up in bed. She's like, no, no, bye-bye, no, bye-bye, no, bye-bye. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening?
Because we had just had dinner on Thursday night?
Yeah.
We
And
had
then I
just
had dinner on Friday night with Pam. And then
That's right.
Saturday.
Yeah, because y'all
Yeah.
had yeah. We were I remember this.
And so Saturday morning, all this happens. And I look at her and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I don't know. I think I'm dying. And I'm like, I said, okay, I'm not going to argue with her.
Right.
We know this is coming. And honestly, through this process, I had already grieved my mother because I've already lost the mom that I knew, the one that,
Right.
I mean, me and my mom were thick as thieves. We would go on every errand together.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm the only one that took her to Shan's. I mean, we've made multiple trips, but anyway, we just were best friends.
Mhm. And you already grieved that part. Do you remember having that almost anger component to it?
I
That she
realized that
was
today.
Mhm.
I am so
Why
pissed
are you
off.
sick?
I'm pissed off.
Remember?
Yeah, I've been
What?
robbed of her last 10 years of life. And this is what's really shitty is before she got in the wheelchair, she's walking around this table, literally like holding herself like this
Mhm.
and baby stepping around this table trying to finish out these drapes. And one of these motherfucking decorators calls her, says, when are you going to get that finished? I've already been waiting on this for 2 weeks. And I said, bitch, come get your shit. My mama's done. They don't
Yeah.
give a shit. No one gives a shit about your mom. They say they do, but they
No.
really don't. They don't give a shit. So
No.
anyway, I made her quit. So she never got to retire. And I got pissed and I'm still kind of mad because I feel like I have been robbed. My children have been robbed of 15 years maybe of her life where she was supposed to retire. She was supposed to hang out with us and
Mhm.
she was supposed to do all the fun things and go do all the errands and not have anything else to do and not have to work her fucking ass off.
Yeah. And mine too. Mine retired on the 23rd of September and died on the 25th.
Fucking ridiculous.
So, also, but I didn't have kids at the time, so I had Vance the next year.
Yeah, let me think. How old was my mom? My mom was 71 when she passed. She would have been 72 this May.
And mine was 70.
Yeah. Ugh.
And how old were your kids when? So Shelby was 10.
Yeah.
Fia was
Little. So she was like
4 or
3,
5.
4.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, so Saturday morning, everything changes. Oh God, here's some truth. So I feel like I was abandoned by hospice. She'd been on hospice for about 2 years now, maybe. Where they would come out and they would help bathe her and just kind of check in on her, see how things were going. And it wasn't her nurse or anything, it was just the group in general. So I'd called, I was busy with her all day.
Yeah.
I did not have time to stop and call them and say, hey, this is what's going on. I didn't know where to find the number. It just wasn't available to me. I could have looked it up, I'm sure, but I was busy
thought
taking care
about
of my
that
mom.
too. When you were doing that, I was like, I should do this. I should figure out who this is. But by the time I got a break, you had figured it out.
Yeah, by 7 p.m. By 7 p.m. and I had gotten over there at like, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock that morning and had been with her till 7 p.m. and probably did a good 750 squats that day because then she was very restless and she was like, fix my gown. So I'd fix her gown. I'd sit down. She goes, oh, no. Come fix the button right here. Okay, fix this. Fix.
Remember,
and
she couldn't move.
She couldn't do
arms
anything.
At all.
She could barely feed herself at that point. And when I fed my mother for the last time, I realized, holy shit, I've just fed my mother. And I never had to do that before, but it was soup. So she couldn't use utensils or anything.
Right.
So I'm just.
Did you realize it was the last time?
No.
No.
You never did?
I wonder, sometimes you do.
I
Sometimes
know that
you
her
know
last
that.
coffee was her last coffee because when I gave her the soup, I was having to sit her straight up so she wouldn't strangle. It didn't hit her goozle just right.
Mhm.
So I was having to sit her up and I was like, oh, her swallowing's declined and her breathing sounds funky, weird. So I ended up calling hospice at 7 o'clock and they said, oh, we're going to have a nurse come out. We'll get the courier to get some more because I called them and I said, I think it's time to make my mom comfortable. I said, things have changed. She's declined rapidly over the past, I don't know, 24 hours, maybe. I don't know. Something's going on. And as a clinician, I know it's the right thing to do. This is what we're doing. We're good to go. But then I needed the validation as a daughter
As a
that I made the right
daughter,
decision.
you
And I
shouldn't be
never got
doing
that.
that.
No, I never got that because they said, well, we'll send a nurse out to evaluate her and then we'll decide on the morphine. I'm like, I said, look, I'm a nurse. I'm actually a nurse practitioner. Can you just not take my word for it? I just need somebody to help me. And she said, oh, okay, yeah, we'll send the nurse out and we'll send the courier out to go get the medicine. We'll call it in, blah, blah, blah. I said, great. Well, the only person that came out was the courier.
Right.
And he hands me the morphine and he says, hey, do you know how to use this? I said, yeah. He goes, okay, bye. I was like,
Right.
okay, yeah, I can do this. I can totally do this. I said, Mom, are you ready? And I asked her, she's like, okay. I said, this will help you breathe because she was breathing 4 to 5 times a minute, which is still apnea coming. She was having
Mhm.
30-second periods of apnea. She would take 2 breaths and then stop 30 seconds, take 2 breaths. Anyway, so that was Saturday. And then she asked me not to leave. And I lied. And I said, Mom, I'm going to go up here real quick. And for some reason, her hearing was so heightened.
Mhm.
So I'm at the front of the house talking to my dad. I said, Dad, I got to go home for just a few hours to get and I left at like 3 a.m. And I said, I got to go home for a few hours. I'm tired. Let me just get a little bit of sleep. She yells from the back, you can sleep in your dad's chair. I'm like, oh my God. She heard me. And I said, Mama, okay, yep, okay. And I left and he stayed there with her for the next couple hours. I slept 3 or 4 hours and then I came back and kept going. And anyway, so that progressed from doing morphine every 4 hours to every 2 hours to every 1 hour. The nurses came out Sunday afternoon after I finally got a hold of one of them and they came out Sunday and we gave her a bath and they came out daily from then on out, but she had just slowly deteriorated and declined.
Did they ever do an evaluation?
No,
Okay.
the nurse never came out and did an evaluation. Now her hospice nurse, the one that came all the time, I guess that could count as evaluation. I don't know. I just know that she came out and she's like, yeah, she's different. Yes, she is different.
Mhm.
And so anyway, so Wednesday night into Thursday morning, breathing was agonal. She had that rattle that they get
Mhm.
because you can't swallow your own secretion. So I was giving her hycosamine under the tongue and
Death
trying to dry
rattle.
that stuff up. Yeah, the death rattle. Um, and then she passed at 12:10 Thursday morning. And I was there. I said, she was there for my first breath. I'm going to be there for her last
Mhm.
because I didn't want to miss it.
Right.
And I didn't. So,
Yeah. I didn't miss.
but I really felt abandoned by hospice at that point.
We were in-house.
Damn, I wasn't
And
going to cry.
we were inpatient, and our situation wasn't any better.
That's terrible. And that's what we want to educate people on is,
Right.
what to expect because
My mom was given a PCA pump.
click, 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 click.
She was
She couldn't have done it.
incapable of using a PCA pump.
Yeah.
And so I broke every cardinal rule as a nurse
I don't
ever
give a
learned.
shit.
I mean, I was like every time.
Well,
Because she was, remember when I called you and told you give her a nurse's dose?
and
Because
the country does.
she
We did it.
pushed you out of her vagina. You better make
I
her
did.
comfortable.
I did. I did. I said, Mama. And that's the other thing too. On Tuesday, I was just sobbing and laying on her. I said, Mama, did I make the right decision? And she said, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Mama, I said, if you're ready, I'm ready. I said, are you ready? She goes, I'm ready. I said, okay, thank God. And then we would put on little movies and stuff because she always watched, she had her favorite movies that she watched. And one of them was that damn Jungle Cruise with The Rock. And she woke up for a split second and she goes, killer dolphins. And I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean killer dolphins? Oh, it's on the movie. There's some killer dolphins
That's
or porpoise
so
or
funny.
something.
So it
The
was in
river.
her mind.
It was in her. She could hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then everything was gabapentin because she took gabapentin in large amounts, maxed out dose because the spasticity you require,
Right.
neuron because of nerves, and then also baclofen. She was maxed out on those doses for the spasticity of her muscles. So imagine having your muscles feel like you're in a Charlie horse all over your body all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it felt like to her. But then it got to the point where the neuropathy was so bad she couldn't feel it, but you could see it. Anyway, so everything was gabapentin. So So she said, let's watch gabapentin. And I said, what? Gabapentin. Bridgerton, because that was the last thing she had on. She goes, gabapentin. I was like, okay. So we watched Bridgerton, but then you fast forward to them sex scenes because those are unnecessary. She said, unnecessary. Those are unnecessary because this is Bible thumping Deborah. Unnecessary. Jesus is on my wall. He don't need to be singing that.
That's right.
So she's like, okay, mom. Anyway, so yeah, Tuesday she told me that I had made the right decision, that she was okay. She was ready. And I said, okay. I didn't fight her and say, when she said, I think I'm dying, she said it twice on Saturday. And I said, okay. I didn't argue with her and say, no, you're not, Mom. I'm not going to do that. We're going to accept it and move forward. But again, I'd already been grieving my mom for quite some time. But this grief is a little different.
Way different.
Because it's like the finality. It's like, I already grieved the mother that I knew, but I'm now grieving her physical presence on this planet.
I almost think that the first set of grief was a role reversal for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it was abrupt.
Yeah.
It was more abrupt than it should have been for people that, turn 60 and 70 with their mother still present.
I'm still moving through things with her.
You're still like in a mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah. I'm still calling her.
And then
her
all of a
advice.
sudden you're her caretaker entirely. So it was pretty acute for you.
Yeah.
I never had a role reversal because it just happened.
It was terrible. I mean, I wanted to preserve my mother-daughter relationship with her, and I feel like that was completely removed, and I became her caregiver. And to be honest, I got really upset with my dad and my sister, because I felt like they got to preserve their relationship with her as
wife,
daughter and mother, and wife
and
and husband. And here I am, caregiver Ashley, and I feel like I was robbed of.
Not only that, but then you were.
And I don't blame them. They couldn't do it. They cannot emotionally do that. There was no way.
Right. But you were also then like this big decision maker.
Yeah. And I feel like that's where I feel a lot of this grief is, because it is so heavy to have made those decisions.
You're listening to Teens and Ash, the show where two real-life providers get real about health habits, wellness, and the broken healthcare system. We're here to educate, empower, and entertain you. One appointment-free episode at a time. This is healthcare without the bullshit.